Alright, like, click, subscribe, do all that. You already know what time it is. It's Netflix time. This movie's called Thunder Force. Two childhood best friends reunite as an unlikely crime-fighting superhero duo when one invents a formula that gives ordinary people superpowers. This movie just came out. It's an hour 47 minutes long. It's got Melissa McCarthy in it, Octavia Spencer, Jason Bateman. I feel like Jason Bateman did this because he's taking time away from the Ozark, so they will be having season 4 out soon. And the other two just needed a check. So anyway, spoiler alert, let's get it. So anyway, we got Emily, who's very smart in school, and then we got Lydia, who just likes to do things. Well, anyway, they're outside for recess, and Emily's getting picked on by this random-ass kid. So Lydia comes by and just bangs him in his face, and tells him to go sit in that dumpster before she kicks his ass some more. She tells him to go sit in the dumpster. He's like, why? He's like, because that's where the garbage goes. I can't even front that line, was kind of hilarious. Anyway, they become friends real quick. Emily talks about wanting to grow up to finish her parents' work. She wants to stop criminals and all that. They call them miscreants. Now, I know that's a general term that you use for villains, but no, the people in the city actually call them miscreants. Well, anyway, for years, they used to always get together at their grandma's house. And this is like 5 years later. Yeah, they're still friends. I think they're in college at this point. I'm not sure. She's got her like AP exams in the morning or something like that. And she needs Lydia to wake her up in the morning when she has to take the test. Of course, they oversleep. Then all of a sudden, they get into a beef. It's like, yo, you're holding me back, yo. Like, I need to keep doing this stuff. I need to get shit popping. And she talks about not being stuck in this neighborhood her whole life. Okay, well, if this girl's so smart, why didn't she just set her fucking alarm clock instead of having to worry about Lydia having to wake her up? Like, seriously? And they didn't talk to each other for years over that shit. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Years later, she grows up to move like freight carts and something, you know, the things you put on boats. Then one day she's coming home from work, and then we have, as they would call them, the miscreants on the loose. Specifically, this chick that throws electric fireballs named Laser. She goes to meet up with this dude, Frank, you know what I'm saying? She was talking about having a class reunion or something like that, and she didn't even know whether she wanted to go or not. I guess Emily came through the store one day and gave Frank the number, you know what I'm saying, so he could call. So at work one day, she decides to text her. So they're at the reunion, which is basically a bar. You know, on TV, they got this guy running for mayor. His name is William the King Stevens. Depressed that Emily hasn't shown up yet, she goes to get her and finds out Emily that came up in the world, this big ass company and whatnot. She gives her name at the desk and is actually surprised that Emily's about to let her up. She talks to a secretary first and is like, hey, can you give me a beer? And then Emily finally meets her. They catch up on lost time, but he tells Lydia not to touch anything. But of course, when she goes back to doing research, Lydia's got to be all hands on everything. So Lydia lays down on a chair. All of a sudden, she gets strapped in, and all these needles poke her face. So what happened was, when she sat down, she got injected with some superpower serum that she's been working on for like 20 years. She's like, oh my god, like you took it all in. And she's mad at Lydia talking about she ruined years of research. Now let me ask you a legit question. What the fuck was she thinking? Why didn't she have the serum in like a secret compartment or a safe or some shit like that? And what if you had like your staff cleaning up or something, they accidentally tripped and fell into the seat? They would have picked it up too, the serum. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. Gotta say, that's very careless with 20 years of fucking research. Well, they tell her she's gotta stay and take training and more treatments because if you leave now, the levels of could be catastrophic. Like, yeah, she'll get superpowers, but if she doesn't learn how to control them or whatever, she could possibly just blow the fuck up. So they settle her into a room, and Emily's got another assistant. Turns out it's actually her daughter, which of course Lydia didn't know about. She's like, damn, I thought we was friends. You couldn't even tell me that you got a daughter, you know what I'm saying? Well, anyway, the next day they start training. She sprained her groin trying to play whack-a-mole. She keeps taking all these shots to the face. The only thing she has to take in her treatment is just a pill. Meanwhile, she's going through all different types of body enhancements. They got her eating raw chicken, you know, so to keep up with her bones of phosphorite density and all this other stuff. She picks up a medicine ball and accidentally tosses that to sign. Guess she didn't realize how strong she was. Later on, Lydia is bonding with her daughter, playing Fortnite and all that shit. She gets some boxing in. This guy named Tony ends up becoming the comedy relief for all her training exercises. Feels like they're bonding once again. Her daughter's name's Tracy, by the way. She asks her, like, what's going on with Tracy's dad? Simply put, he couldn't handle the responsibilities of being a dad. There you go. Training again, and Tony's ready for the punishment. Look at all the gear he's got on. But she punched his ass all the way out the ring. He's like, you know what? I'm good for today. Alright, so we established Lydia's superpowers is strength and all that stuff. Emily took her last pill, and her superpowers are invisibility. So we get another training montage. They do the slow motion walk with their super suits and all that randomness. And then they come up with a superhero name for their team. And after a bunch of names, they land on Thunder Force. So their first mission, they riding in a purple Lambo. That car is fire, don't get me wrong, but if you're supposed to be superheroes, aren't you supposed to be inconspicuous? Not to mention, it takes like 30 minutes for them just to get in the car. And I'm finally on the road ready to stop crime and all that shit. And Tracy and Jody are helping them from the intercom. Jody's like their advisor, but we'll get to her later. Anyway, they pull up at this gas station, and we got some miscreants robbing a gas station. Look at Jason Bateman, Mr. Krabs. They call him Crab Arms or whatever the fuck it is. Thunder Force saves the day. Then for some reason, she gets infatuated with Crab Man. And we get this daydream sequence of them dancing and all that. Then they snap back into reality, and the miscreants escape. People in the store recorded them on YouTube as the Thunder Force saved the day. Then we get a montage of other crimes they stopped. Then we go to the king who's losing in the polls by 5% to this other lady named Rebecca. And come to find out that king is a bad guy. The crab works for him, and also Laser works for him. And he says he wants to have a friendly talk with the Thunder Force, but if the talk goes wrong, we killing him. Meanwhile, back at the hideout, the king walks right on through. So right out the back, he found y'all with the quickness. I mean, clearly they weren't trying to keep no secret identities or anything like that, but at least have some fucking guards out there that could prevent this shit from happening. So after that meeting didn't go well, they go to a grandma's house. And this might possibly be one of the dumbest suggestions in the entire movie. Emily wants to move her grandma in somewhere safer in an upscale part of a neighborhood. For one, I don't think he's going to be bothered with your grandma. You know, he's trying to be a mayor. He's got a city to run. Two, if you got the most high-tech building with the most state-of-the-art equipment in the entire fucking city, and the bosses and everybody like that just broke into there like it wasn't shit. Where the fuck else are you gonna take her? But bottom line, grandma's like, man, I've been living here all my life. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't got time for that shit. So the other candidate for mayor, Rachel Gonzalez, holds a press conference with the Thunder Force. That kept her up in the polls 52 to 47. There's a certain king out here that don't like that shit. And then the news broke that Rachel officially became the mayor. So you know, yeah. At this point, he don't give a fuck now. He's ready to kill the Thunder Force. So he's gonna set up an election party to congratulate Raquel Gonzalez. But really what he's doing is trying to get everybody in one building at the same time. Well, he's gonna have a bomb set up so he can blow everybody the fuck up. Back at the diners, everybody's eating. All of a sudden, Jody's gotta get up and wash her hands. Right when she does that, Laser comes through and blows up the fucking diner. Very convenient, Jody. Are you still with the squad? What's really good? Well, anyway, Lydia and Laser get to the beef, but then Laser gets called back. She's needed for something. As Laser's getting away, Lydia tries to throw a bus to stop her. Of course, she made sure everybody was off of it, but damn, you could have fucked niggas up. Like, really? Here comes the fake breakup moment when they beef about the damn bus. Later on, she has a heart-to-heart with her daughter. Lydia goes on a date with Mr. Krabs. Now, we're supposed to not know if she actually likes him or she's just trying to get information off him. Now, we know Jason Bateman is doing his best to save this movie, but we clearly know his lines, he's saving them all up for the Ozarks. Season 4. I will say this much, their back and forth banter with the waiter is kind of hilarious. Next day she comes in, she apologizes about throwing the bus, and then she tells her about her adventures with Mr. Crab. She's like, what do you mean by adventures? She was giving the crab the business with Old Bay seasoned. I'm not even going to attempt to break down what that means. You know how something sounds like it makes sense in your head until you actually say it? Yeah. Well, anyway, Tracy gives them some information about a warehouse. They set up in position while that song Seal Kiss from a Rose plays. So it turns out when Tracy's back was turned, Jody was actually setting them up. She's working for Laser. She was given the location so she could finish off the Thunder Force. Then Tracy took a fire extinguisher and knocked her all the way the fuck out. And she warned them just in time before Laser blew the door. But they threw a dumpster at her and trap her for now. But it was really a setup for a diversion long enough to keep them out the way while they activate the bomb in the building. Look at them all disingenuous, just waiting for people to blow the fuck up. He gave all these puns like it's gonna be a blast. Boom! Explosions of a time. Like all that type of shit. Thunder Force gets to the building, the miscreants in the elevator, and then they finally meet face to face. And then we had the beef. Everybody got their ass whipped. Laser came back. The Laser was about to done deal Emily, but then the daughter saved her. And the catchphrase for this movie?
She's not a nerd. She's smart. There's a difference.
Why is that the catchphrase? I have no idea. And then Crabman turns on the king for his love for Lydia. And then the king breaks off his arms. What happened? I mean, broke off his hands. And then Lydia had enough to kick the king's ass into oblivion. And now they gotta stop the bomb, but they ain't got enough time to deactivate it. So she's gonna risk her life to destroy the bomb. Oh no! She jumps into the water with the bomb. Explosion, nigga. They're like, what the fuck, yo? They go down to retrieve her body, which is still intact somehow. Then she starts throwing up water. She's still alive. How she survived? Cause she's a superhero. And Rachel comes out and says, yeah, we locked up the king and them niggas. And everybody appreciates their superheroes. The crab somehow was not arrested. He lives with Lydia. The end. And there you have it. And I ain't got nothing else to say about this shit. Thunder Force on Netflix. Check it out. Like, click, subscribe, do all that. You already know what time it is. Slick DZ on the Heezy, Mr. Big. Cute goddamn slogan.